are you okay for me to continue this interview in English?
Yeah, sure.
Can you please tell me about your organization, including its size, industry, and location?
We are involved in IT business for a long while. We
Mm-hmm.
have been in the IT business here in Malaysia since the 1990s.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have done a lot of systems. We
Mm-hmm.
serve SMEs as well as multinationals and GLCs and
Mm-hmm.
government organizations as well.
Mm-hmm.
We do focus in a few areas. In
Mm-hmm.
particular, we do big data, we do AI systems, we also do laboratory system and scientific system.
Mm-hmm. What's the size of your company?
So about 25 staff.
All
We
right.
also
Uh,
use outside resources whenever we need them.
mm-hmm. And what industry is that? Technology provider, is it?
That's right. Technology
All right.
service provider.
All right. And where are you based? In Malaysia?
We are based in Kota Kemuning.
Kota Kemuning. Okay. Right. And how would you describe your role within the company?
I'm one of the leaders in the company. I do solution architecture, data architecture, more on the technical side, but I also assist on the business deals and some legal stuff as well.
Mm-hmm. Could you please tell me? So you told me earlier that your company was started since 1990, right?
1990.
Yeah. So how technology has changed the way you work from 1990 and now is 2025? How has it changed? Could you just go through the details with me, like explain to me how the system has changed?
Oh, technology has changed a lot since we are also a technology service provider.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we started off in 1990s when client server was the forefront of technology,
Mm-hmm.
allowing individual PCs to connect to each other over a local area network. And then we are using Microsoft-based client server at the point of time,
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft Network, and then we're using SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server, store data, and then eventually it has moved. First of all, Microsoft has moved following the advances in the Java world. Microsoft has moved to a lighter weighted, more lightweight technology called Active not .NET. From ActiveFact, they have moved to .NET, and they have their own different library. Eventually, they let the ActiveFact technology expire,
Mm-hmm.
and they have consolidated a lot of platforms, Microsoft. So we are working with Microsoft a lot during those days.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a different platform. They have the Windows platform for PCs, and they have their uh, Windows NT for servers. And then they consolidated everything. Eventually, now you only have one single architecture, which is used for the servers as well as for the client. And there's also a rise in Linux. So we're using a lot of Linux at the moment, for especially for big data. And as far as the distributed computing is concerned, we have seen an explosion in that area, explosive growth. So right now, you don't have a particular computer anymore. You have a lot of virtualization going on. You have containerization, and then you have orchestration of virtualization using tools like Kubernetes. And big data is everywhere. So we started off with Hadoop, and Hadoop has translated into different types of flavors, like Cloudera. Microsoft has its own Hadoop edition called Big Data Appliance. Microsoft has started to fight with Hadoop, at the same time embracing Hadoop with their own
Mm-hmm.
Azure offering. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of cloud facilities around right now. You don't have to know where your servers, what your physical servers really look like. You just hook to the cloud, and you could have your server in various parts of the world, uh, having redundancy, failover, disaster recovery. So there's a lot more components now to be taken care of. Systems are uh, much more bigger. Systems embrace and deal with a lot more data than before. Serve a lot more critical functions than before. And we have become totally reliant on systems. Let's say, for example, if the systems for traffic lights were to go down, then the entire town will go down. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a very critical nerve system for the society to function. That's where systems are right now as compared to before when you only have client-server networks serving particular office and what happens in one office does not affect another office. So there's a huge transformation, a lot of new technologies, and the concentration of technology has has changed from one particular dominating player to a lot of players, and it's a very heterogeneous environment, and you can mix and match a lot of things in one. That's how things have
Mm-hmm.
changed.
Can you please tell me a bit about your business and tell me what type of technology your company is providing to your clients and how is the technology helping them?
We started off concentrating on laboratory industry. We provide
Mm-hmm.
systems for the for labs here in Malaysia. We provide systems for very big labs here in Malaysia, government labs, labs that is used for sending people to the gallows, for example, for testing drugs or forensic uh, cases. We started off from there, and then
Mm-hmm.
we've moved on to labs uh, that do biotech. For instance, we have clients who use our systems to conduct biotech. Big labs here in Malaysia, well-known labs that conduct biotech research using our system. And then from there, we have moved on to quality systems because labs rely a lot on quality systems to ensure that their results are reliable. So we've moved on to quality, and then we've moved on further from quality into these ancillary areas like workflow and particular usage linking, say for example, asset management to project management to workflow design, KPI. Uh, so we have altogether about 39 different modules right now, which ensure health, safety, environmental factors, efficiency, legal factors, portfolio management, project management, product lifecycle management, particular industries like APQP for automobile. So we've done, right now we are involved in building up a conglomerate, huge conglomerate with interest in property, healthcare, retail, in turning them into what you call intelligent organization. We
Mm-hmm.
have also been involved in MNCs. For example, last year we finished this project where the MNCs use our system to monitor their testing of products. They sell their product to all over the world, air
Mm-hmm.
conditioners with different specifications for different parts of the world because the environment is different in different places, the requirements are different.
Mm-hmm.
And so their testing and their R&D unit use our system to keep track of product quality as well as what we call that as well as the research and development direction. We have done hospital, have done I told you biotech labs, uh, build system for defense labs and stuff like that. So that's what we do.
Mm-hmm. What factors typically influence your company's decisions when integrating new technologies?
It's very simple actually. The market direction is now moving towards usage of big data and AI.
Mm-hmm.
So we are not one of those companies that simply slap together a product and then sell it, shove it down your throat. Because
Mm-hmm.
AI is at the moment wrongly represented by just people throwing up a chatbot and then putting some documents behind the chatbot, and calling it training the chatbot. Those are very superficial and very, it's just people want to tick their KPI. So they have a list of KPI, they just want to tick, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. It's very superficial, and very pretentious. Yeah. A
Mm-hmm.
real system right now, people expect to be able to talk to their chatbot about particular things happening in their industry, in their particular company. Let's say, for example, you are dealing with a particular product. So you want to talk about particular unit of your product, model. You want to talk about particular part of your model. You want to ask about what's the development now on improving certain parts of your model. Let's say if it's an aircon, you want to talk about the motor or the compressor. There are some issues there, and then you want to resolve those issues. What's happening to that project now? Who's in charge? Has there been any change in the project team structure? You want to have that kind of chat, and you have to the leadership of the company got to really participate in designing the AI. Eventually, the AI will reflect the mentality of the leaders of the company. So if the leader is just a leader who's warming up his chair, they'll tend to put together some simple co-pilot chatbot and then putting documents behind it and then throw it around and then tell people, hey, we are already doing digital transformation. That's not real digital transformation. If let's say, for example, you're working in the property sector where
Mm-hmm.
market intelligence is very important. Because property sector, you're dealing with huge amount of money and long-term commitment. So if you are too early, then you end up building buildings and taking a lot of loans, and your loan gets stuck into cement and bricks and iron that's not seeing any sale. You're not able to progress with the project. On the other hand, if you are too late, then somebody else will snatch that opportunity away from you. So you've got to really fine tune your approach, and you've got to start the right thing. With climate change, global warming, people when people buy properties, they are looking for long term investment into livability. They want to live in that property. That property got to be safe for them, secure. Got to be able to sustain them for many decades. You've got to be able to have that flexibility, and you've got to have that intelligence. You got to know about building technology. You got to know about maintenance technology, your build environment technology. That got to be built into your property. So then you can present yourself as a intelligent property company, not just a company that sees some opportunity somewhere, go and grab some political land from somebody, build up that political land, and then try hopefully to be able to make some money out of that. So we don't surpass that, we will not be able to rise in terms of national competitiveness capability. We are just
Mm-hmm.
opportunistic people looking for quick opportunity. So if you ask me what directions we should be looking at, is we should be looking at that. We should be looking at things that drive AI, big data, and there's not much choices when you talk about big data and all that. They are pretty much
Mm-hmm.
the same. It's
Mm-hmm.
just different tools by different brand names, but they come from the same ancestor. You want to ingest data stream, for example, you want to store them in what columnar databases, or you want to store them in some other new types of database, data lakes, elastic kind of storage, and stuff like that. You want to put them over Fabric. There's so many Fabrics on the market right now. There's Microsoft Fabric, there is Hewlett Packard, Admiral Fabric, everybody calling all their data stuff Fabric. So it's just the same thing it just that they come in different brands, different kind of pricing structure. That's all. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
move in that direction. That's pretty much no choice about that anymore.
Mm-hmm. The previous survey I conducted identified key challenges as lack of financial resources, compatibility issues with existing system, and employee resistance to change. What were the key challenges you faced in your organization?
I think anybody in this sector is facing the same sort of challenges. It's not lack
Mm-hmm.
of finance, I would say. It's lack
Mm-hmm.
of willingness of people who have money to put in the money where it's supposed to be. So we look at
Mm-hmm.
efficient financial markets like US, for example, Europe,
Mm-hmm.
where financial people reward and nurture competitiveness and competency. Okay, so they grow good companies there. Of course, a lot of companies also go down. They are managing on a portfolio basis. So if you get two companies out of 100, 98 goes down, spend some small money there, and they go down, but two really perform. Companies like Palantir, for example, companies like Cloudera, uh, companies like very obvious OpenAI, those sort of companies. You manage to get one or two of those companies, that's enough for you, even though you lose money on 90 over other companies. So there's the system in US. I'm not saying that these people are not corrupted. These people are also crazy corrupted in US, but they know where to put the money so that they don't die. As opposed to other countries where the people are also corrupted and have a lot of money, and then you raid somebody's house, you find that he has $1 billion kept in his house, $100 million kept in his house. He's not going out to build industries. It's just self-interest.
Mm-hmm.
So it's wrong to say there's no money. It's that the money is going to the wrong people. And this has got to do with the structure of power. So as long as people like you and me, we tolerate this kind of thing, we are just killing ourselves. We are allowing ourselves to be cows in the scheme where the same humans are also the masters, the same humans are also keeping pigs, cows, chicken, and these chicken are also human, these cows are also human, these pigs are also human. Why? Because they allow themselves to be good. So there is a lot of money around, except that the money is not going in the right places. And so because money is the bloodline of any economy, this is where you get rewarded for your blood, sweat, and tears. So if
Mm-hmm.
you don't channel those value that you create from your blood, sweat, and tears into the right channel, they get stuck in somebody's house, they get stuck in somebody's bed, they get spent on somebody's investment in liquor, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see the any other industry going up because of that.
Mm-hmm. So is that the key challenges that you faced in your organization?
But that's the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Leaders now are practically not leaders anymore. Leaders are
Mm-hmm.
people who are really afraid of losing their position. Okay, so leaders
Mm-hmm.
try to accommodate staff, and if your staff are, you build up structures, big companies,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can protect people. They
Mm-hmm.
are not jobless, and then you just bring mediocre kind of people who just like any other mediocre people on the street, and you put them
Mm-hmm.
into all these big, huge organizations, huge buildings. They are insulated from their weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see that they are weak. They don't see that they are not capable. They
Mm-hmm.
talk big because they are holding some position, but actually they don't know anything. They
Mm-hmm.
are. So you have this situation in the country where you go into meetings and you have to teach top executives who are big decision makers ABC, when they're talking, when you should be talking about some technology, what you're teaching them ABC. They don't even understand what this is, what that is. Now, understanding, when you're a decision maker, you must understand to some depth in order to be able to make good decisions. You must be able to drive the decision. You don't depend on advisors to advise you. You have to be your own advisor, and then you can just listen to advisor for alternative point of view. But if you lack that, then you are just warming your seat. That's all. And we see that a lot of happening right now. So they are not
Mm-hmm.
able to drive their own organization. They're afraid that their staff will turn against them. They're afraid of being unpopular among the staff. They're afraid that
Mm-hmm.
somebody will send a secret letter to some politician talking about them. They're afraid somebody will talk about them in the social media or something. So they tend to be very docile. And so this breeds this culture of incompetency, rewarding the wrong people. So we have a lot of engineers right now. I just finished meeting up with someone talking about engineers from the oil and gas industry who's earning about 2,000 plus, having family. So you cannot
Mm-hmm.
practically 2,000 plus is half of what a family needs. A family of two children needs to live decently in Malaysia.
Mm-hmm.
Bank Negara did a study back in 2016 to say that families need to have 5,500 a month, and 2,500 is not even half of that amount. So they drive e-hailing car at night. For example, I take e-hailing and I see 25% of them, 20% of them are engineers who work during the daytime. So what are you doing? You're engineers. Why do you have to do this? Because we are not rewarding our engineer properly. Where's the money? The money is somebody's paid or stuck in some investment in liquor or, bought some handbag for some pretty lady for 1 or 2 billion ringgit. So this is where we fail, and our leaders are afraid to make changes in their organizations because they're just warming their seat and they're hoping that they continue to earn their salary. So this
How
is the real major problem that we face at the moment.
mhm. How do you think you can address these key challenges?
I address them in meetings. I talk straight. I address them in LinkedIn. I tell people about it. I'm doing things. Whatever I can do, I do.
How else do you think you can come out of this kind of situation? Like
Not
what?
me. The whole country got to have the right leadership. Leadership
Mm-hmm.
who is strong in terms of technology, who
Mm-hmm.
understands technology. You cannot have a great person who's popular with the people, but he doesn't know what
Mm-hmm.
to do. And then he depends
Mm-hmm.
on a bunch of advisor, bring in a lorry load of professors, lorry load of retirees, trying to advise him on something that they don't understand themselves. Never use, people just watch videos, people just read website, people just ask ChatGPT for answers and then coming into board meeting and then telling people this, that. No, you never use it. You never tried this product before, right? So you got to
Mm-hmm.
try it. Get your feet wet, get your hands dirty, using things. You need this kind of people to lead the nation.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I would,
it's not
yeah.
just technology. From your
Mm-hmm.
knowledge of technology, you know how to negotiate your way. Where is the catch in terms of cash flow? Where's the catch in terms of credit? How should you reward people for competency, for example? You don't know what competency is in the first place. You don't know what is the meaning of competency in the new world. How can you make decision on how to reward people for competency? You have no feel for it. So we have to get people who are really practical, who have not spent their life 40 years being politicians. You don't do anything else. What have you been doing all your life? Oh, I've been a politician. I'm a very experienced politician. Yeah. Have you been working in logistics? Have you worked in a hospital? Have you worked, in a plantation or manufacturing, for example? Have you worked inside an advanced manufacturing environment like we did for the aircon company? Do you know what they are facing? No, I don't. I spent 40 years being a politician. Useless. That kind of experience is useless. You're just learning. You have spent your entire lifetime manipulating people. That's all. That's
Mm-hmm.
not going to grow a country. So I tell people about this.
Our
So
survey
people got to
also,
address it. People got
yeah.
to address it because now our middle class is shrinking and we are going into a bigger lower class economy.
Mm-hmm.
Once we shrink the middle class, that's it. The economy will die. You just ask any economy. You got to take care of the middle class. So you don't, if the middle class shrinking, that's it. And if you have people who are clueless about how to go about doing this, you're practically just going down fast down the dead end street. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Our survey also found that perceived ease of use and usefulness as the significant predictor for 58.4% of satisfaction with the alignment between technology and organizational structure. Do these factors resonate with your experience?
No, it doesn't. If we have our organization, okay, if we need to
Mm-hmm.
use the tool, we need to use the tool. Don't
Mm-hmm.
com- if my staff come to me to say this tool is used, the UI is not so friendly, okay, get out of here. I find somebody else who can use the tool. As simple as that. You have to use the tool, you have to use the tool. You don't
Mm-hmm.
complain to me, don't become pampered. Oh, this tool is hard to use. I don't understand the user interface. Get out of here. You don't belong here. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Why do you say that?
Because you have to use the tool. That's it. If you listen to this staff who complain about everything, you never get anything done.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
No,
some
but
places, in a lot of
as a
places in our industry, we even use command line. You know, we use a lot of command line to get things done. Imagine that,
mm-hmm,
you know, we are not even using GUI, you know, we are using command line to get things done. So there's
mm-hmm,
no room for people to say, oh, this tool is very hard to understand. No, no, no. If you want to find tools that's easy to understand, you don't work with me. You can work somewhere else.
mm-hmm. So, as a decision maker, when you want to integrate a certain technology within your business, you integrate the technology based on what? How do you make decision to acquire or integrate a certain technology in your organization?
Like I said, the technology is pretty much the same. When you talk about big data or AI, LLM is LLM. There's different types of LLM, but they are basically LLM. You talk
Mm-hmm,
about graph databases. There are many different types of graph databases, but they're basically graph databases. So those
mm-hmm,
are just brands, you know. You talk about
mm-hmm,
data ingestion, you talk about data pipeline. There's so many
mm-hmm,
different tools out there. That's basically just the same thing. So
mm-hmm,
the first thing is you don't decide on any platform first. Okay, you know the
mm-hmm,
tools are out there. You talk to the
mm-hmm,
customer, find out what
mm-hmm,
you want. I want to have an AI that help me to make decisions about real property. Okay, what do you mean by that? What do you want to know? You want to know the status of your land. You want to know your land conversion process. You want to know zoning rules, changing zoning rules, government policies. You want to know climate changes like flooding or
mm-hmm,
eroding coastline over the next 10 years. Okay, we look at what you have and where you're going to get the data from. And then
mm-hmm,
we prepare the pipeline for you. We prepare the graph database for you, where how you're going to put the structure, your ontology, your semantics, your taxonomy, and then
mm-hmm,
from there we drive your LLM, and then we get the SEO to participate, to put his personality and his character into the AI. So the AI is like a duplicate CEO, not as good as the real CEO, but it
mm-hmm,
takes some effort off himself, and then this AI will reflect that CEO, his philosophy, his
mm-hmm,
aggressiveness, his dynamism. You know, so different people using the same tool will produce something different. Depends on how
mm-hmm,
creative they are and how able they are to translate something good into ability for the machine to think. So we are building thinking machines now. So we are building thinking machines. You got to know how you want the machine to think. Different personalities, different personas. So when we talk about AI, you're talking about persona of AI, different persona of AI. Cautious guy, the CFO, very cautious, or the governance guy, very cautious about things. Or you want somebody more dynamic, somebody in tune with the market, the sales guy. So these are all different personas. So the guy who shaped your AI got to understand this kind of psychology. He got to go around and talk to a lot of people. Got to have the experience of translating people's character into character of the AI. And then he also got to know how to guide his people to produce that technology capability. Then you're producing a real AI system. It's not just slapping, throwing some copilot, throwing some chatbot. Behind that, just put a bunch of documents, and then you hope the token window will be able to address all the documents that you throw it to them. Suddenly, you see a lot of hallucination. You know, a lot of organizations don't even know how to test for hallucination. They just slap in a few days, tick off their KPI, and then they declare to the world, we are already going through digital transformation. This is not digital transformation. This is simply just throwing some products and then just calling it something. So then they don't even know how to test for the reasoning capabilities of the AI. They don't even know how to test for hallucination. And you get a lot of hallucination. So I've shown it in meetings to people. See, your AI is hallucinating. Let me show it to you. So they see with their own eyes. And then you have people, decision makers who cannot remember what we spoke about one hour before. So the person himself got a very small token window. So they have that kind of decision makers, people who are really incompetent in this kind of seat. They have no understanding of what this is all about. You have to teach them the ABC of technology, and then they cannot remember, you just saw this in front of your own eyes 1 year, 1 hour before this. And now 1 hour after you have forgotten about it. So the token window of the person is narrow, not the token window of the AI is narrow. We have this kind of situation. So this is what I do. I do in meeting. I show to them, okay, and then a lot of people actually accept, this kind of thing, and they try to improve themselves. There are also people who don't accept this, who are very egoistic. They depend on how I dress, how I talk to people. All these are superficial. They are pretentious. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You see
So,
those big guys like Elon Musk, they don't go wearing coats at all. They are really technology people. They build rockets. They are there on the shop floor. They sleep on the floor together with the workers. This is the kind of leaders that we need.
mm-hmm. So are you saying customer demands is the key factor that will influence you to decide on integrating a certain technology within your organization?
For sure, it's
Mm-hmm.
customer demand. This is
Mm-hmm.
definitely the answer. But customer
Mm-hmm.
demand is then driven by other things, environmental factors. That's why customer
Can you
demanding
give
this.
me an example of that? Yeah.
Yeah, global warming is a good example. So right now
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about properties.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we are slapping a lot of fines and a lot of taxes on, say, coal, electricity producers who depend on coal, for example. Because coal is damaging our environment. Right now in Malaysia, it's very hot. If you come back to Malaysia, the temperature now is almost the temperature of human being. It's already about
Mm-hmm.
32, 33. You go to Dubai right now, more, it's hotter out there than your own body. So it's 40
Mm-hmm.
degree outside there, your body is 37 degree. So what happens in thermodynamics? The heat from the outside will go into your body and then you cook your organs. You may not be aware, your organs are being cooked if you step
Mm-hmm.
outside. So over a long time, it's just like living in a slow cooker. Your the organs in your body slowly be cooked, simmered, and then your people will just lose their ability to function in maybe 30 years. By the age of 30 years, 40 years, people will just die. That's going to
Mm-hmm.
happen. So these things will determine how you develop your properties. People will want property that will protect them from this kind of thing. That
Mm-hmm.
translates into air conditioners. People think water is important. No, air conditioner is more important. You work in a place, for example, I used to work in telecom. So you work in a place like that, you cannot open the window. And then you cannot just rush down your 39th floor above the ground. You cannot just run down the stairs and then expect to reach the stair where you cannot breathe. So air
Mm-hmm.
conditioner is important. And then because it's a closed system, you have to make sure that the aircon system does not spread virus, does not spread fungus, things that people are allergic to. So it's a very complicated ecosystem that we have in those sort of building. So all these are building technologies, and we have to master these building technologies. We have to offer something different to people as property developer. So people are not just looking for a cheap house. People are looking for a house that enables them to live under this kind of environment. So that's an example for you. Global warming is an example that drive customer preferences.
Mm-hmm. Our survey also highlighted that perceived cost effectiveness is a key factor but only explains 12.6% of variation in technology integration. What other factors do you think influence SME's decision to integrate technology?
I think people in talking about Malaysians, people are very impressed with, if you're McKinsey, for example, your Price Waterhouse, people are very impressed with those sort of things. So I won't mention the name, a public listed company,
Mm-hmm.
huge GLC, took over somebody from one of those consulting firms to head their one of the new divisions. That division lost 250 million in 2 years and continue to bleed 50 million a year every year until now because of some contractual arrangement that they have already made with when the person was there. The person who they brought in from the consulting was asked to leave. The CEO of the group of the company also was asked to leave because of this mistake. So they don't pay small dollars, for this sort of stupid advice. They pay huge dollars for this sort of stupid advice. 5 million, 10 million is nothing. It's like pocket money. I just put in. Why? Because you have a good name there. So this misperception about, I think it's mostly driven by misperception rather than cost saving. So when you talk to a local, you look down to the local and you say, this is too expensive. You try to cut down here, cut down there, try to negotiate and all that. But you talk to a big guy who's also giving you a con job, and you're just willing to spend so much money because they have the name. So I think we are driven by generations of people who went overseas to study, look up to people, foreigners, and look down to their own people. I don't think we need this kind of people. We don't need this kind of people. We can just ask them to leave or ask them to go and move, go and live with the people that you love so much overseas. Go there and live if those people will accept you. I think we should do that.
Mm-hmm. Um, so you're saying people follow the trends more than the actual quality of the product. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly, because
Mm-hmm.
our decision makers don't know
Mm-hmm.
anything. We have to go
Mm-hmm.
down there and teach them what is LLM, what is token window, why is token
Mm-hmm.
window important, what's the difference between this LLM and that LLM. Do you know that there's so many LLM out there? There are hundreds of LLM out there. So many different things. It's not just Gemini versus ChatGPT versus Bird versus DeepSeek. No, there's hundreds of LLM out there specialized for a lot of things. So if you were to subscribe to Azure, for example, you can get hundreds in Azure Foundry. And then Azure has a Foundry. Palantir also has a Foundry. And Google has something like that. And Oracle also has something like that. So these people don't know anything about this. They don't even know the basic that there are so many LLMs out there. They don't even know that LLM hallucinate. How do you test for hallucination? They don't even know that LLM has to be tested against hallucination. So when you don't have this capability, you're just like a standard 3% put up there to make decisions. So people just go for perception, and they get all the wrong perception from the wrong signal. This is what's happening.
How do cost, ease of use, or regulatory compliance affect your decisions?
Regulatory compliance is definitely important. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
ease of use is the decision that we make in order to present the UI to the user when we are selling products to the user. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but we also
Mm-hmm.
have to manage that. If you want to use something as sophisticated as SAP, for example, and the user
Mm-hmm.
say, no, I want your SAP to look like Facebook. There's no way your SAP can look like Facebook because it's sophisticated too. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I want to drive a aircraft carrier, but I want to have a dashboard like a car. How can you have a dashboard of an aircraft carrier to look like a dashboard of a car? So you also have to draw a line to say, look, you want this, you cannot have this. It's ridiculous. For example, we can break the dashboard down into different dashboard. So you can have a dashboard for this, you can have a dashboard for your engine, you can have a dashboard for your cargo, you can have a dashboard for your steering, navigation and all that. But
Mm-hmm.
you're going to end up with still 50 dashboards, 60 dashboards, for example, and you have to cut down your organization to do this. So if you still say no, 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 YouTube can do this. I want to have an interface that look like YouTube, but I want to have the capability of SAP. Then dream on, basically. It's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. The survey showed that organizational structures influence technology integration. Have you had to adjust your business structure, such as roles, teams, or workflows, to better integrate technology?
Oh yeah, we do that all the time. Whenever we have a project, one of the first thing that we do is we determine the project structure. Okay, we put in the client to participate. So there'll be a steering committee, there'll be a working committee, and there'll be structures in there. Your PMO, project management office. What are their tasks? And then uh, pipeline. Who's going to build it? AI engine. Who's going to build it? So data scientists sit over here, data engineers sit over there. We do that all the time. The organization structure is very important and key to drive adoption of technology in a company. So
Mhm,
organization structure is the same as, say, a football team. So you have your goalkeeper, you have your striker, you have your midfield, you have your fullback, and then depends on the type of game that you want. You look at Liverpool. Liverpool plays a very fast game. So the right people got to fill in the right places, and their structure got to reflect whether it's 4-3-4 arrangement or whether it's some other arrangement of people. Are you going to be heavy in the fullback? Are you going to be heavy on the striking? Or are you going to play build from the back, like Chelsea, for example? So you have to build a structure around your strategy. It's very important, and we do that all the time.
Mhm. Can you please give an example? How did you do that to integrate technology within your business? How did it happen? Like what technology was it, and how was it implemented, and how was it affect? How did that affected your roles or teams or the workflows? Can you just give me an example, please?
Okay, we just did one for a monetary regulatory organization here in Malaysia last year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we first of all we do a workflow for the project delivery. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
the workflow goes like you have your user requirement, and then once your user requirement is okay, so we have a different team doing the user requirement. We have a subject matter expert to get supported by documenters in the user requirement team. And then this one will be translated into data architecture, into process architecture, and then it goes to a different team. This team does data engineering. So, and this data engineering team is supported by a platform team, and we have an outside security team to ensure that security is there. So we have these different teams under data engineering for the pipeline. And then when
Mm-hmm.
we finish a pipeline with some portion of it, we pass it in a workflow to the testing team. So we have an organization structure for the testing team. So we have a lead tester, we have all the testing, and then we have a forms. We can trace through our forms where a particular task has gone. So the task will go through step one to step two, step three. It's all structured right from the beginning, structured. So people know how to monitor progress task by task and know what to expect in that progress. And if there's a problem with one particular task, then we have reports about that. We'll do an audit on that, and then we'll say, you know, you want us to follow these data rules. So we have followed this data rule, but we cannot produce exactly the same result because the test data that you pass to us is not based on the same rule. Your test data is 30 years old. And over the 30 years, you have changed a lot of rules many times. So we cannot expect your end result rule using one particular rule to be the same as your test data that you pass to us that use five different rules over 30 years. So we have that sort of troubleshooting session. And then once everything is okay, it goes into a data lake house. Then somebody will look at the dimensions, the measures, and some supporting unstructured data that's linked to the data warehouse. And then this goes into your AI engine, into your ML ops over there and train the thing. So we yeah, that's an example of how we created a structure. We are specialized. We don't have I have somebody else who believe in everybody should multitask, everybody should do everything. So the accounts department is also to help salespeople. The salespeople is supposed to become a project manager. No, no, I don't believe in that. If we have to have a person work only 4 hours a day and spend 4 hours doing nothing because he's specialized, I would rather have that kind of person rather than have a person who's fully utilized for 8 hours, 4 hours being a project manager, 4 hours being a suspend. No, we don't practice that.
Why do you say you don't practice that? What's the
So
reason
it leads to a
behind?
lot of confusion. It leads to a lot of confusion
Mm-hmm.
regarding responsibility. Who's responsible to get this one done? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yesterday it was him. Today it's me. Tomorrow is somebody else. People are not committed to getting things done because tomorrow I'm going to pass it to somebody else. So I
Mm-hmm.
just, I just do something that looks pretty on my side. Tomorrow I pass
Mm-hmm.
something else. The problem will be his. So you cannot have that. That leads to total confusion. And also, you don't train people, project manager, to become data engineer. He's not trained to become that. You don't take an data engineer, ask him to become project manager. He won't be able to manage projects well. He knows how to
Mm-hmm.
do coding. He knows how to pivot data, or he knows how to store data, fetch data properly. But you ask him to become project manager to manage people under him, he won't know. So
Mm-hmm.
you're putting the wrong people at the wrong task.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't work.
Can you please provide an example of a successful or unsuccessful technology integration in your organization?
Oh yeah, we've had a lot of failures as well.
Mm-hmm.
Technology integration. Mostly it's because people don't use it. Okay, people just throw some technology and then people
Mm-hmm.
don't use it and nobody push them to use it. For example, we tried using a lot of mailing lists. We tried to use CRM, Tiger, and then it has a built-in mailing list. And then we tried to, I forgot the name of the product, and then we tried to use something else, and we tried to use that also to manage our mailing list. And that because of the lack of commitment on the marketing manager side, to
Mm-hmm.
settle on one and make sure that it works. So when something doesn't work, he just moves on to something else. When something doesn't work, he just move on to something else. So mostly it's driven by I would say the factor that leads to failure in technology adoption is mostly human character. You've got to guard
Mm-hmm.
against this human character that make it fail. That's basically what it is.
How do you think um, your organization could have addressed that issue?
Yeah, I just ask him to pick one and live with it for 1 year. No more changes. You make the wrong choice,
Mm-hmm.
you live with it for 1 year. Make sure that you make the right choice. I give you 1 month to think properly. Think properly.
Mm-hmm.
Then don't tell me change anymore. The thing that I will change, I will change you, not change yourself. You've got to talk like that. You see things, Xi Jinping, how he runs China. You've got to talk like that. You've got to make sure that people just toe the line. See how fast China is growing. You look at Xi Jinping, he's got to feed 1.65 billion mouths 3 times a day. You imagine that, you have 5 children, you got to feed 5 children 3 times a day. He got to feed 1.65 billion people 3 times a day. Now, the good thing about him is he did not forget that he was once a poor guy. He did not forget that, and he's very committed to bring his people up. So he came up with all sorts of technology. They can build skyscraper in 1 month. For example, you look at a lot of development here in Malaysia that uses their technology, their flyovers, their overhead highways, port systems, railway systems. They feel that how can we cannot even bring an organization of 500 people to work together. He's got to bring 1.65 people to work together so that they can feed themselves. How do you do that? You just got to tell people, follow the line, toe the line, use it. Don't be pampered. I'm not going to pamper you. It's got to be done this way.
Mm-hmm. Our survey found many SMEs integrate various digital solutions such as enterprise resource planning, customer relationship management ERP and CRM, or cloud-based platforms. Can you share any key technologies your business has integrated and could you please explain why?
Oh, we have integrated a lot of technology because we are in that business. So we have
Mm-hmm.
done a lot of things for our customers. It depends on their preference. For example, we go into a customer, they're already stuck with Azure. So we do on Azure. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same solution, different brands, different providers. That's all. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so we tell
How
them, okay, this one is like this one like that. Okay, we can use Azure. Somebody else wants to use Amazon. Okay, we use Amazon. Somebody else wants to use Google. Okay, we use Google. Some of them use Oracle. We use Oracle. It's okay. It's everything. You just use API and methods of integrating them. Just integrate them. That's all. There's no issue with. It's not an
how
issue.
easy
API is definitely an issue. Not an
yeah,
issue.
how easy or difficult was it to integrate them into your organizational structure?
It is difficult. That's why you need to have good people, technologists, to help you to do that. It is difficult. There will be problems along the way. You cannot just read the brochure. The brochure say everything is good, so everything is good. No, when you really go down and dirty your hand trying to make it happen, it's not as good as the brochure sound. The salesman also doesn't know what he's talking about. Salesman move from one IT company to another. 1 year he's working for Hewlett Packard. Next year he's working for Oracle. Next year he's working for Microsoft. Does he understand what the product? No, he understands enough just to sell. He learned what are the points to say. He learned what are the weakness of the competitors. He learned where the market is. He brings the brochure and sells. That's all. Does he use it himself? No. It's just like somebody trying to sell you some Nutrilite from Amway or some Shakely product. He himself never take those vitamins. He's just selling the things to people. So you have to have these good people around you. This is where we have to cultivate our technologies. You look at all the big companies right now. They are all technology based. It doesn't mean that you need to become an IT company to become profitable. You can be a property company. For example, I mentioned to you just now, building technology is very important. So you can become an IT property company with strong building technology. Look at China. They are a nation, that sell building technology to other nations. They are like a building company, property development companies all over the world. Why? Because they have very good building technology. This is right in front of our face. But how many of our property companies really look at that? There are some excellent property companies like EcoWorld who's looking at this kind of thing. But there are a lot of opportunistic opportunistic company that just look for can you talk to this, politician try to get that land over here or that cooperative has 100 acre over here, let's do something about that. No, so we are still stuck at ABC level, when others are moving ahead. So you look at China now. China is really selling themselves as a developer all over the world because they have the technology. They can do things cheaper, faster, more reliable. So uh, you have to emphasize on technology. Okay, we have to reward people who knows how to do this technology. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. That's why you need is to have these clever people. We have our clever people working part time at night driving e-hailing cars. How can you call yourself we are moving to a high net worth country, we are moving into a country, high income country. All that is just pure BS, you know. When you look on the ground, it's not happening.
Mm. Did you face any unexpected challenges during implementation?
For sure, we've faced a lot of unexpected challenges in the future. We settle them lah.
Could you please explain, like, how did you settle them? What was the
Like for
issue?
example, just now I mentioned to you, we were given a set of data, old data. We are supposed to produce some routine that's supposed to be able to produce exactly the same output as the old data. But the old data, we are given a set of business rules. We are supposed to follow this business rule, and then we come up with the output. And this output cannot match against the old data. And then when we investigated into the case, we do root cause analysis. There's a way of doing it, FMEA, failure mode analysis, and all that. So we go and do all those things. We find out that the old data was produced using different business rules over different times. So there's no way if you tell me to follow this set of business rules and produce exactly the same data as the past, because the data in the past did not follow the same business rules. So the different sort of testing got to be used. Like that lah. So there are
Mhm,
different situations, different things that we have met. We face a lot of these problems. We solve them. That's it.
mhm. The survey results highlighted cybersecurity was important, but not a major challenge for most SMEs in Malaysia. How does your company approach cybersecurity in daily operations? Have you ever had concerns or taken steps to improve security?
We advise our customers to have the stronger cybersecurity, but it depends. Sometimes the customer say it's not necessary, we don't have the budget. So we make sure we draw the line. Okay, you don't spend your budget on cybersecurity, this one can happen. And they sign on the dotted line to say, yeah, we accept that. We accept that responsibility. Okay, fine. Cybersecurity got to be built into the data that is being used. Okay, there's something called DevSecOps. So yeah, DevOps. DevOps is where you produce something and you roll out the something quickly into operation. But DevSecOps means you build cybersecurity into your product as well at the time when they are built. So you don't build the cybersecurity later. A lot of people practice that. We come up with the product first and then we put in the security later. Suddenly finding that they have to re-architecture a lot of things in the product. So you practice that SecOps. That's a methodology around that. You have to read it up if you want. But we have to build in cybersecurity. One of my customers, we've just provided a system to them. Now they have so many different systems. Their budget for IT runs into hundreds of millions. So we are just providing a small portion of that. And then they have somebody else to do cybersecurity. With that kind of budget, they're supposed to have data disaster recovery site somewhere else. And if this one goes down, they should have a KPI. Within 1 hour, we can move over there. They practically lost their entire platform. This was news in about a few months ago. It was news in
Mhm,
Malaysia that they lost everything. And then we saw the politician come up and say, no, it's okay. Everything's under control. We're going to get everything up in 10 days. And then I know, as one of the persons inside there, I know if they are not going to get everything up in 10 days. So there's going to be
mhm,
a lot of mayhem over there. So somebody is just trying to cover their own faces, look good in the public. So there's a lot of these things happening all over. And
mhm,
cybersecurity is definitely very important. Okay,
mhm,
right now, people just go and you can steal data, for example, of course, and then people can say, okay, look, who applied for this, who went there, who got this. So that's if you lose your data. Which contractor, which subcontractor got the job. All this is in your data. But
mhm,
apart from that, right now, what happened was people just simply destroy your data and then ask for ransom. Pay me a few hundred million. I put back your data for you. So they don't care. They are not stealing your data. They just want to destroy a system. It's so easy to destroy a system. It's so easy to bomb a building. To build a building is not so easy. You can bomb a building down in seconds, but you have to
Mhm,
spend years to build up a building. So
mhm,
cybersecurity is definitely very important. But
mhm,
people just don't want to spend the money or don't want to put the thinking into it. Back to the situation where decision makers are not informed. We have incompetent decision makers up there. So they're just stick warmers, pretending to be clever.
mhm. The survey results suggest that existing infrastructure plays a critical role in technology satisfaction. Do you agree that the success of technology integration in your company depends on how well it aligns with overall efficiency and productivity?
That's two different questions. One question is on infrastructure, the other question is efficiency and productivity. Okay.
Do
So
you
infrastructure,
agree? Yeah, do you agree that the success of technology integration in your company depends on how well it aligns with overall efficiency and productivity?
yeah, efficiency and productivity, but we don't have to own the infrastructure. Right now, there's a lot of cloud infrastructure around. So we just use
Mm-hmm,
the cloud to do things. We don't need to have our own infrastructure anymore.
mm-hmm. What infrastructure investments were necessary to make your technology integration successful?
Well, there are three types of environment in four types of environment in a application. The first is you have a developer environment where you do a development. And then once you've done your development, you move your development to a staging area where people do testing. And then then you put some data in there for testing purpose. People can key in things and then see what the result coming out and stuff like that. And then once you're okay, then you move to a production environment. Now, this whole thing also is duplicated on the other side, which is called the disaster recovery environment. Sometimes people just move the production thing. Sometimes people move the entire thing over the other side. Depends on how much budget they have and how far they want to be able to recover from disaster. So for us, it's the development environment. Okay, so we got to have the development environment necessary to do our development. Quite simple, basically.
Mm-hmm. Did poor infrastructure ever limit your ability to integrate new technologies?
Sorry, again, what's that?
Did poor infrastructure ever
Of course,
limit your
of
ability
course.
to integrate?
If we
Yeah.
don't have the tools to develop, we cannot develop. I think that's that.
Mhm. Can you give an example of that in your business?
Yeah, we had a situation where the customer gave us only, I think, about 32 CPU core to develop
Mm-hmm.
some data pipeline and AI. 32 is not enough. So we had to ask them to increase to 96. So they increased to 96. Happens all the time.
If given external funding, what infrastructure improvements would you prioritize?
We have a development environment lah, basically. Okay. So we don't need to have external funding to build our own infrastructure, to build our own data center. No, we don't need to have that. We just rent out those things and then we don't have to worry about platform.
Mm-hmm. Survey findings indicate that regulatory compliance is a significant challenge. While despite many government support initiatives, SMEs are not widely using them or are unaware of the available support for technology integration. Can you please share your experience with government support programs? Have they helped or do you find them difficult to access?
That question is a mixture of a lot of things. So you're talking
Mm-hmm,
about regulatory compliance and then you're talking about government support, then you're talking
mm-hmm,
about access to government support.
mm-hmm.
So what particular you're talking about integration. What particular area are you trying to address? You're trying to address integration in order to
Both,
meet
both
regulatory compliance or what?
both regulatory compliance and the government support you receive for technology integration.
So technology integration is different thing. Compliance is different thing. Are you talking about technology integration for the purpose of meeting compliance or what?
No, because like I think for certain industries, they can't integrate all technologies because of specific regulatory compliance issue. So in your business, do you face any regulatory compliance like that?
Okay, the only thing that I can think of where people are not able to integrate systems because of the compliance, because data ownership. Okay, data is
Mm-hmm.
owned by somebody else, data is owned by somebody else. So
Mm-hmm.
if we cannot do that, we can tell the customer you cannot do that. We don't own that problem. We pass it back to the customer and say, you go and solve that problem. You can get the data, we can process it. So
Mm-hmm.
they themselves they cannot get the data, then we cannot do it.
Mm-hmm. Have you received any government support for technology integration within your business?
We have never received a single cent of government support. We have never sold for a single cent of government support. I don't believe in it. So we
Have you
got a lot of
tried
support.
applying for them,
No,
or
no, we have not. We have not even applied applying. So
could you explain why? Or yeah.
yeah, I just don't like the thing. It's a very convoluted process. I've got friends who got this kind of support. They lost the money. They don't achieve anything. I just don't believe in this whole thing because government support is good if it is transparent, if it's efficient, it's good. But no, it's not like that. It's very convoluted and it's not something that I like. I like to leave a bad taste in the mouth. So we don't apply for that at all. We don't even try to apply. But we got a lot of
Mm-hmm.
support from the government in terms of getting jobs. We got a lot of
Mm-hmm.
government job. We got a lot of JLC job. We got a lot of MNC job as well. We got a lot of private company job. So some of the jobs are from government.
Mm-hmm. What kind of government policies, incentives, or support do you think would help SMEs in Malaysia to better integrate technology?
I think number one is this. I don't want to come up with a list of 10 different things that people can do and all that. Just focus on
Mm-hmm.
one thing. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
have a policy to have competent people out there.
Mm-hmm. Do you think the available government support is effective in helping SMEs integrate technology?
Not so much. It helps some, but not really, not really so much.
Why? Can you tell why? Or
Because number one, the support is not enough.
mm-hmm.
Uh, if people need 200,000, they get 50,000. So what do you get? You get 50,000. Trying to do a $200,000 job, you get a failure. Basically. That's what you get. And then it's too long and convoluted. Somebody will say, no, I will pay for you if you don't start before we approve. So if you buy your stuff only after we approve, then you qualify for the support. But if you buy your things before we approve, then you will not get support for whatever you have bought. So the guy needs to have the system tomorrow. He needs to have it tomorrow. He go and ask you for approval, it takes him 6 months. He cannot wait for 6 months. So why do you have this kind of thing? Why can't you just bend backwards and say, okay, never mind, you have this system, now we're going to support you. I'll pay back whatever you spend. That sort of
Mm-hmm.
thing. So we have
What
this kind
kind
of
of
silly policies.
yeah, sorry. What kind of government support would be more useful for your business?
I don't need any government support. I just want the government to be filled with competent people.
Mm-hmm. If you could give one direct advice to policymakers to improve digital transformation for SMEs in Malaysia, what would it be?
Get your hands dirty. Go out in the street, get your hands dirty, walk the street, handle the things yourself. Don't read brochures, don't listen to consultants. You yourself must understand what it is about. That's my advice.
Is there anything else that you would like to add for today?
No, that's it.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time and for sharing your valuable insights today. The information you've provided will play an important role in deepening our understanding of the research topic and will be used alongside data from the other participant. As mentioned earlier, your responses will be kept confidential and your identity will not be disclosed in any reports or publications stemming from this research. Thank you so much again for your time. I will send you the recording once everything is ready. Is that okay?
Okay, thank you.
All
And
right.
please allow me to download the recording.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate your participation and your contribution to this study. Thank you.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
All the best.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.